What's up, guys, and welcome back to the infamous project. Today I'm actually doing a little bit of a hobbyist video. And while Fox bodies did initially start out as my hobby, and then later, well, I've always been passionate about them, but it was a hobby that's turned into a business. But today I'm going back to the hobby and doing something for myself. I had the front clip off of the donor car from the 4-banger V8 swap project. And the bumper cover wasn't in 100% the greatest shape. It actually had a couple cracks in the corners, and it was an aftermarket bumper. And in fact, it did not have one rivet holding that skin on. And I believe there was 3 bolts on this side holding the front end on and maybe 2 holding that side on, just to tell you how thrown together that car was, I guess is the nicest way of saying it. So I got probably 3 hours into what you see here. You know, that's plastic welding the corners up, getting a little bit of fill in there. I actually got to do a little bit more work right in here, probably on the other side as well, get a little bit of spot putty. But I actually cut the hood and the radiator support, for that matter. So underneath here, you can see the radiator support is still hiding underneath, and you guys might be wondering, well, what are you going to do with this? Well, I'm glad you asked. I am actually going to make some wall art. I think I saw in a Facebook group or somewhere, somebody had the nose of, I think, a 4-eye hanging up on their wall, looking like the nose was like coming through the wall. And I'm like, man, that's a really cool idea. And since this car was going to go to scrap anyways, I figure, you know what? Why not prep it out, paint it, and put it on the wall? So I've got a set of, actually the same set of style of headlights as what's on the Kelly Coupe here. So you can see these aren't a really desirable set of lights. I use these ones as a test pig for the yellow theme, color, whatever you want to call it. Everybody always asks, how do you make your headlights colored, right? So, and I'll say it again, clear coat and whatever color you want. So this one obviously has blue mixed into the clear coat. That had yellow paint mixed into the clear coat. You can make your own smoked by mixing black paint into your clear coat. That is obviously a different color, blue mixed into the clear coat, so on and so forth. So I do have a special concoction that's coming up for this bumper. So I'm going to go ahead now and block out the hood. There's actually a couple dings and dents. You can see one here. There's one here, here. So we'll block it out, see if we can get most of the junk out of it, because the paint and everything else is pretty thick, probably from 19 different paint jobs over the years. But I'm going to go ahead, grab a block it out, and then I'm going to start prepping it for the theme that I'm going to go. And it's something that I haven't ever done. The lights are going to be something different. The paint's going to be something different. But I think it's going to be cool because, you know what, it's hanging up on the wall. Why not go with something different that you normally, maybe you wouldn't commit to it on a car, but when you're just putting something on the wall, why not go crazy and be completely creative with it? So time to get sanding this thing down and try and localize, you know, the dust and everything else. I've actually done all the work right here, you know, and I bring the vacuum over and I vacuum up all the dust and keep things relatively clean. You can see there's a little bit of dust over here, but you just drive real fast, that dust blows off, right? So anyways, let's get sanding. Everything is pretty much prepped up as I want it / need it to be. 150, 220, 400 is kind of how I've gone with it. Probably could have gone 220 to a 320 than 400, but Again, I'm not too concerned because what's going to happen is I'm probably just going to shoot a primer sealer down real quick, and then I'm going to do my colors. So some of you maybe picked up that I was sanding on the floor, and now I've got the bumper up here, and you're probably like, well, why didn't you use a set of horses or whatever? I actually wanted the bumper to be as close to the ground as possible because, well, dust is going to land on the floor, and some dust naturally goes up in the air. So I wanted all of the dust to be as close to the ground as possible to mitigate the amount of dust floating around in the shop. Now, you know, I could have done it outside, but it actually wasn't the nicest day earlier. And it is what it is. So sometimes we got to work within our constraints. So if you're in a similar situation, maybe you're in the garage, it's cold outside, or anything else, just remember, you want to keep the dust down, you got to work down lower. So the bumper is up here now, and I'm going to mask out some stripes. And you know what? I attempted to do vinyl stripes on this truck back in Dubai myself. I had about 3 hours into it, then I gave up. I paid someone to do it. It just, man, the contours of the hood and then trying to get the vinyl to go on straight. Honestly, guys, some of those vinyl guys that do anything other than just wrapping, even wrapping is an art, but if you go above that to do creative stuff with it, you know, hats off to you. So I've got some fine line tape here. This is perfect for doing outlines and doing custom things. And that's what we're going to work with today. You can get this in different sizes. Red Dog hooked me up with this when I went to go check in on the Calypso car. So let's give this a shot. And I know some of the best stripers out there don't even use a measuring tape. They actually eyeball everything. And I don't think I'm that good. I probably will bust out the measuring tape to a certain degree, but there is something to be said for being able to, you know, stretch the tape out, eyeball it to try and get it right, other than being up close trying to find a line or measurements and stuff like that. So anyways, let's see how this goes. So there, I've revealed there's going to be stripes on the bumper and the hood. So I just wanted to make sure that obviously my gaps are good here for the hood. I've actually adjusted the bumper stops on the radiator support, believe it or not, to get the hood to sit where I want it to. So a little bit sticking out on each side here, but the same between each side of the bumper. So should be good to start masking this up. Let's give it a whirl. All right, so I got all the masking done. At least I think I have, and it took a while, I'm not gonna lie. And I can blame my good friend Kevin for making me add another element of difficulty to this project. So if you look real close, you're gonna see there's actually 3 strands of fine line tape on every, I guess, finishing side of where the stripes are gonna be. So we're gonna have 2 solid colors here. The element of difficulty is going to be the following. So I'm going to be pulling out the middle piece of tape on all of these, and I'm going to be spraying one color. So there's going to be a sprayed pinstripe on either side of the stripes. Once that middle guy is painted, then we will remove the inner stripe on all of these, and we will mask off the pinstripe that we painted on. Then we will paint our 2 main stripes, and then once the main stripes are painted, then we will mask off the pinstripe and the stripe, and we will do our final main color. And I'm not going to reveal what those colors are yet. So that is what we've come up with. doing stripes in reality, it probably would have been beneficial to prime all of this first in a lighter color based on based on the colors I'm going to go with, because I'm going to actually end up with a lot of buildup. So what I'll do is, I don't know, maybe I'll spray like a light color down real quick, and then spray the colors that ultimately I'm going with. But anyways, that is what we're doing. Stay tuned and we'll see what I end up doing here, and hopefully it all works out. 2 coats on here. We got really good coverage, which I'm happy with that. And it says we need probably, like, it's pretty good to the touch, but I need to mask on top of this. So it says 5 to 9 hours. So I don't think I'm going to be tackling the second color today, unfortunately. But with that said, I do want to remove the tape now while it's still damp, so that we have less chance of lifting the paint once it's completely dry. So I'm going to give it probably, I don't know, 20-30 minutes, you know, get it to a point where, you know, it's seems pretty good to handle. Then we'll unmask everything, and then we're going to have to be in a position to remask after this has had the opportunity to dry. And if you guys see the cap colors down there, maybe you can figure out the theme. Well, coat number 1 is drying up there. Let's see what happens when we try and remove our tape over here. Okay, that's okay. That's okay. Now the next one is the inner one. In reality, should probably take both of them off, but then mask right on top. So or I could leave this one down. I don't know. I don't know, guys. It's my first rodeo here, so let's see here. No, we always want to kind of pull away from what we're doing. That looks pretty good. So, question is, do I leave this guy on here and use it as a masking surface? Actually no, because we're just going to mask on the line. So we'll go ahead and pull this guy off as well. Again, pulling away. Yeah, nice pinstripe. Look at that. Just have that one little bleed there. We should be able to mask that off. Now, if you guys were understanding what I was saying earlier about now we have more hard lines to deal with, well, you can see where this paint has ended. That is now become a hard line. So it is what it is, though. Now we'll be able to do one color is going to go this way, one color is going to go that way, plus in the center here. So let's get our second coat on there. This can dry up overnight, and then tomorrow we can do our other 2 colors. Had quite a bit of bleeding. That's happened in a few places, which I sort of suspected would happen, especially just kind of in the transition areas here. So I'm hoping I'm going to be able to you know, remask with the fine line tape and hopefully fix this when we spray the next color on. So I'm actually adding another color to the mix here. We're gonna do a dark blue. Before I just had these three. I'm gonna do the royal blue right down the center here, just to add that other element for the golf colors. So I'm gonna go ahead now, fine line tape these two lines out. Same thing on the hood. And hopefully we can spray blue down the center and fix some of this bleeding. We'll let it dry, then we'll mask this off, and then we can do our stripes. Then we'll mask that off, and then we'll do our light blue. So let's get going. Up any orange. It's a little wet. All right, the GoPro died. Good news is got clear coat on. The bad news is look at the reaction in the orange, which is very odd because this is all Rust-Oleum paint. So I'm not sure what happened. So I'm literally trying to pour enough clear on that the texture is uniform and consistent across everything so that it almost looks like it's supposed to be there. Like it didn't do it with the dark blue, didn't do it with the white, didn't do it with the light blue. It's only done it with the orange. So it is what it is. Send it, as they say. Maybe once it dries up fully, I can scuff it down if I really want to, but I probably won't because it's going on the wall. So there you have it. Floating Mustang bumper, or front clip I should say, is complete, and I couldn't be happier. I had to get a little creative with the mounting, and I actually used one of these. This is a mounting bracket for an IKEA floating shelf. So pretty much just bolted that onto the wall, and then I took the uni bit and drilled 2 holes right through the radiator support, because it is actually still bolted on to the front bumper cover there, and just slid the bumper right on to these 2 poles that are coming out of the wall now. So that was a nice little handy bracket to have laying around, and it turned out great. As you can see, the hood just kind of sits on the top there. I got the little stops adjusted so that way it kind of rests and everything is aligned. One guy actually made the joke on my Instagram story saying that my headlights were straighter than most people's on their cars. But it was a great little project and great opportunity for me to not only be creative and test out some striping techniques. Now, mind you, this was rattle can paint. I had some reaction that occurred with the orange striping, but you know what? Now that everything is back together, it's on the wall, I couldn't be happier. And of course, I had to wire up the lights. So this is not done yet. You can see I got a battery sitting right down here, but I do have the factory headlight switch, and you can see I've even got the switch illuminated as well, so that I guess if we were in the dark here, we could get this lit up. I've thought about putting a cluster cover with a cluster inside and maybe mounting the old Monster Tack next to it the way that I had it in the Stalker Vert, and maybe, you know, getting the switches and a cluster in there and getting that to illuminate as well. I think it might be a nice little piece to add to the corner here. And it's not just Ford, you know, I got my basketball, got Lincoln manuals, got some random wheels, my old Ferrari toolkit that I had back in the day, some H&R spacers for the M5. So a little bit of everything in this corner, and I think it looks great, especially above the little sit-down sofa here. So that's pretty much it, guys. If you're wondering how I did the wiring, honestly, I just took the wiring harness that is used for the factory headlights. I cut out the stuff that wasn't needed, like the alternator harness. And because the alternator harness, I actually already had it cut out of this because I used it in the 4-cylinder swap. So it was pretty much just the high beam wire wasn't necessary, turn signal wire wasn't necessary, the horn wires, and I think the overflow bottle low coolant indicator, I think it was in this harness. So I cut that out and just left what I needed. So one last thing before I sign off here, I am launching, and chances are it's already launched down below. Next to the like and the subscribe and all that, there is a join button. I have launched YouTube memberships to the channel. That way you guys can get VIP access, additional content, discounts on merch, giveaways, all kinds of cool stuff. Just trying to diversify the channel a little bit. Totally up to you, but I think it's worth it. Anyways, I hope to see you guys again soon. Thank you again for your support, and we'll see you next time on the Infamous Project.